My name is Lucinda Gonzales, and this is my open letter and plea to the California Board of Parole, urging them to deny the parole request for inmate CDDCR G10505 Alexandre Hochstraser due to the horrific and barbaric nature of his crime, and set his subsequent parole hearing date for no less than 15 years. My family has always been an influential force in my life since before I was born. As a single mother and even thousands of miles away, my mom always made sure that I knew and loved them. Summers were always spent in California under the blazing hot sun and warm breeze. I always marveled at the large palm trees that towered far above me as a child. Much of that time was spent at my auntie's home. I remember the rickety iron that creaked and swayed when you walked up the apartment stairs. I remember the too small entryway, big enough for a tiny inflatable pool to sit and not to flood the stairs with water. Even just the short walk from the kitchen sink to the door made the water lukewarm, but it always felt like a cool balm to wash away the heat of the California sun. I remember the big round table and the aging linoleum in the kitchen. I remember the smell of Chinese takeout, baking cookies, and the Costco chicken cooling from a shopping adventure. I remember the big living room with the two large brown couch and the TV flush against the wall, waiting for my Saturday morning cartoons dressed in pink pajamas. I remember her room and her too big bed, perfect for cuddles and hushed conversations that could only have been between an aunt and a niece. I remember the bathroom with the window at the very top of the wall, far too high for me to reach, but it filled the bathroom with the light throughout the whole day, making the small space seem bigger than it was. I remember the carport that seemed like a cave, and I would stretch and crane my head to see the wood and beams above me as we backed out, ready for the adventures to come. Her apartment, her home, was always an adventure, filled with memories, laughter, and fun I felt like I could have nowhere else. I didn't know it at the time, but my mom was preparing me in case something happened to her. She wanted to ensure that I would be taken care of and loved just like she loved me. And she made sure that if something happened to her, I would be able to call that small, warm apartment home. But her murderer, this monster, stole that home from me. He took the memories, the moments that I had had in that home and stained them forever with the blood of my Aunt Dee. He planned her murder at the table where I had eaten breakfast. He bashed her head in while she slept in the bed that had felt too big to little 6-year-old me. He cut up her body under the same light that I had used to brush my teeth. He put the mangled parts of her body in the carport where her car used to reside, racing against the clock to get away with murder before those who loved her realized she was gone. He took her life and my memories and left a hole that can never be forgotten or filled. He tried to cover up his crimes and destroy her so we would never know peace. With every choice he made, he stole my childhood, even though it would be years before I would realize the full horror of what he had done. I mourned her loss as a child, but now as an adult, it hurts even more. It is a chasm in my heart that will never be healed. And even after 20 years, it feels like I lost her only yesterday. I will never forget what this man did to my aunt, to me, to my family, and to countless others. This act, his choice, has rippled so far beyond what anyone could have imagined. He chose to kill her, and he chose to plan this violent, horrible act. What he deserves for his crimes is not worth only 20 years. It is not worth 25, and it is not worth just a single lifetime in prison. He does not deserve to live free when my Aunt Dee can no longer hug her children or her nieces and nephews. He does not deserve to live free when she can no longer embrace her mothers or her siblings. My family should not have to face this parole hearing 5 years early, and we should not have to face this every year for the rest of this monster's life. I believe in the parole system and the benefits it can offer to those convicted. I believe it can reduce recidivism and successfully integrate people back into society. I believe that we can and should teach, not just punish. But to those who choose to take a life, who try to cover up their crimes and escape the consequences of their heinous act, cannot simply ask for forgiveness and be released. This inmate is a danger to society. The statistics of domestic violence tell us so. If he is released, I firmly and wholeheartedly believe he will go after our family, especially those of us who worked so hard to make him pay for his crimes to my aunt. These children should not have to look over their shoulder and live in fear of her murderer. They should be able to mourn and honor her. He has not apologized. He has not shown an ounce of remorse. He only admitted his crime to try and deny that he chose to kill her, that there was some justification for his crime. But the evidence and the jury said otherwise. Any remorse he shows now is all for show. No apology has been offered or accepted by this family and should not be accepted by the parole board today. He did not show mercy to my Aunt Dee, and so he deserves none in return. I ask that the parole board reserve its mercy for another inmate, one that has not shown time and time again who he really is. He is a monster. He is a murderer. He is a domestic violence perpetrator who killed his partner because he could. Our family deserves no less than this inmate to remain in prison for the rest of his life. Please deny this murderer parole. Do not allow him to fool you the way he fooled so many others. Dolores deserves justice. Dolores deserves peace. Only you can give that to her now. He stole our peace once. Please do not allow him to do it again. In honor of Dolores Gonzales and our whole family, respectfully, Lucinda Gonzales, Louisville, Kentucky.